Yeah, she just went with a friend to college. She likes to go explore. It's content
Where they were,
Yeah. Just walking around.
is that like always been a dream for them? Or?
Well, she went to South Africa 2 years ago. She did a little teaching down there though. So,
So they actually go with you?
she was down in
fancy
we're all Great Lakes in South Africa.
Yeah.
All the way?
Oh, I mean,
Great
that's
Lake
the
Sharks.
lunch, I got supper tonight.
Oh, southern tip. Like somewhere on the southern coast.
Of Africa?
Yeah.
South Africa.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah, definitely one
Oh,
constitute fancy.
yeah, she was down there.
That's the part of South Africa. So when they say South Africa, that means the end.
Okay.
So there's nothing south. You're in Antarctica now. So you can watch it. There's a camera right here that's recording. So.
Do you want me to just to send this to your email? Carla? I could just send it to your email to the hyperlink agenda.
Oh, I got the agenda, but where's the rest of it?
Is it hyperlinked?
Are you?
It's on
No.
board books.
Or it's on board books? Here, let me, you know what I
Yeah, I have.
The worst email you can buy every year. Period.
Sarah was.
Right when
How do you get a buy?
That was right, that was like
You were
this.
straight.
We've won a few years.
I think probably your last one was probably against us. I don't know if it was so. That was good games though. We're both multiple.
Yeah, we are.
But you guys won this year. No, yeah.
I know, he was gonna be.
Who's going to win it this year? Do the young guys win, or is that the old team that dominates?
Yeah, well, 3 guys.
How do they divide? How do they divide up by divisions? Is it 8?
Yeah, like I think ours is what, like 95 to 96 to 96.
Oh, it's under the bottom.
In the regional format.
Yeah, look.
Probably every 10 years or so.
Did you change something?
Yeah, so
Yeah, roughly.
7 to 17.
Yeah, this is
And
inside of the link from the agenda itself.
then I'm sure they combine teams as
Agenda's
they get
there
older.
for links. But then
Yeah,
board
at the, at the real old levels, they start combining more.
for the board,
I mean, my uncle was in the 60s.
Should be just the opposite.
So there's no clear team that playing.
I'm not
Yeah,
on
I
that.
think, I know we should have a staff meeting.
I used to. I would hurt myself sometimes.
I can work on it.
I don't have to.
Hold up my team.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's kind of like the Yankees.
yeah.
I'm in a shape.
Well, that felt powerful. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock PM, August 15th, and I'm calling this meeting of the Board of Education to order. As you all recognize, I'm not Matt Alice. This is my first kick at the cat with the gavel. That felt really good, but feel free to interject if something's out of order or not being done correctly. With that being said, we'll have a roll call of directors.
Alice, Barnes,
Here.
Lewis,
Here.
Gorman,
Here.
Kaiser,
Here.
Kramer,
Here.
Peel,
Here.
Tomcheck,
Hello.
Zebro,
Here.
all here but Alice.
Okay, we'll turn to sing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Motion approved. Motion by Tomcheck, seconded by Kramer. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, approval of the minutes. I see we have 4 sets of minutes, 2 from July 18th, 1 from July 24th, and 1 from August 1st. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve as presented. I'll second.
Motion by Tomcheck, seconded by Lewis. Any further discussion?
Mike, maybe
correction and clarification here on going to closed session, coming back out of closed session. In closed session on July 18th, there was a motion made by myself and seconded by Alice to,
Hold on a second, it's discussing what the motion was in closed session, appropriate in open session.
You can't make a motion to close.
If the motion was made in closed session, then it's supposed to be repeated in open session, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Part of closed session is the discussion, that's what's closed to the public.
Thank you.
That's why we repeat motions made and seconded.
Gotcha. Sorry, Kevin.
that's okay, that's why I'm bringing it to the table the way I am, because I just want to make sure it's legit. So, the motion was made by myself, seconded by Alice, to ask Sue Peterson for the school perception to submit a press release of high-level survey results for 2016, 2017 to public after the data retreat. Voice vote revealed 8 yes, no, 0 for no. Motion carried unanimous. So, in order to make the notes correct now, coming back from a closed session on July, on that date in question here, potentially, do we need to approve it now, or how do we go about that?
Most appropriate place would be under new business, just state the error that took place, recorded as such in the minutes, and you're good.
Just do a motion in a second at that point.
All you're really doing is replacing documentation that it took place.
So then do we approve the minutes?
We can approve the minutes as presented,
Okay.
and then we can,
Go on to,
just, we're just restating the actual activity at that time under new business.
that's ready.
You're gonna have to have a change of the agenda.
Yeah, can you, I don't know if you can add anything to the agenda if it's already posted. You can't add an item.
If you really wanna get technical about it,
Well, I think you have to.
the agenda happened,
Gotta make a motion to put it on.
so it happened.
'Cause it's
We're not
not-
changing the agenda, we're just noting under new business, this error occurred because the action has already taken place and voted upon in closed session, it's already a registered action by this body. We're just making sure that that action by this body is then affirmed and recorded in open session.
I agree with you that that's a resolution of this matter.
It makes sense.
It's simple.
Any further discussion on the minutes? We have a motion and a
Second.
second.
I motioned it and
Yeah, give it a second.
you seconded it, so.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. I just asked any further discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The item number 6 is a public forum. The public forum provides the public with the opportunity to ask questions about or address issues included on the school board meeting agenda. General operating rules of the public forum will be determined by the board president once the number of people wishing to speak is identified on the night of the meeting. Prior to addressing the board, please clearly state your name and address. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Mr. Kramer?
Mr. President and Board of Directors, my name is Bernie Kramer, 2150 State Highway 153, Peplin. I attended the meeting on August 1st, and I was quite happy with the outcome. I guess it was the only choice the school board had at that time, and I know that it's a controversial program, but that being said, it was, I think for the position Mosinee School Board was in the district, it was a good choice, and it provides more or less reinforcing our structures and our educational facilities for the future, and just throwing something else in there. I think the 22-29 section has 9 lives. You know, it's supposed to be gone a long time ago, but it's still here, and with good administration like we have here, I think it can go on. Like the fitness center don't only have to be one room. There are storage rooms down there. You could enlarge the fitness program in some of these other rooms down there. You got air conditioning down there and heat. So I think there's other options besides what it's being used for now. So, I mean, I think the air quality thing is important nowadays. You got health issues, people with more health issues than ever before. Nobody knows why a lot of times, but I think with that being said, the high school will get updated and all the facilities. I guess some people have said, how can everything go bad at one time? And I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. The only thing I'll say is, do you have to spend all the money at one time, or can you delay a year or two spending? If something is not broke down and it's usable and working properly, you don't have, I mean, that's the question I have. And the other thing I have, the last line of the notice, it says, the cost of the performance contract will be recouped through energy and operational savings over the remaining useful life of the buildings. Now, I'm lost at that one, I have to be honest with you. I don't know, I don't understand that at all. And I spoke with people in the community and they don't understand it. And I don't understand it. So if somebody can ever come up with a good answer for that and explain it. And then, Brent, the budgetary impact, how does that work from they got that $46,000, that's savings through energy, if you recall, each year. Now, is that each year or one-shot deal or how?
They keep ratcheting up the amount of the interest. Can I talk, or if he's asking me a question in public forum, I don't know.
Well, I don't care, we can get together if nothing else.
Whatever, is it a short answer?
Yeah, it's short
Okay,
answer.
go ahead.
Yeah, they just ratchet up the amount, Bernie. Like it starts out, I think, at like 40-some
46,
thousand,
yeah.
and then they'll multiply it. I think they use a 4% escalator, and then that just comes off the amount of the debt service. So if the debt service is
Well, direct debt service,
700,000, if the debt service payment for me is 700,000, then it'll be 660,000 that I tax.
And where did that money come from then?
Basically, energy savings is where the 40,000, some
And then
46,000 or so.
But I mean, what's the filler in there for that? In other words,
You take it out of your Fund 10 budget.
Oh, Fund 10? Oh, okay, all right. Now, is there any, each year do you have to have an audit of yours to get that number, or how does that work?
No, they just give me the number as part of their proposal.
Oh, off the proposal?
I would
Oh.
encourage
We can have a
that-
meeting.
Oh, I didn't realize
Well,
that.
Mr. Kramer, we've gone 20 seconds over our limit per
Well,
policy, but
I appreciate it, I mean, you know, but, you know, I guess,
Brent explained to me that he enjoys talking to you and answering questions, so I'm certain that he will be able to
yeah,
answer
okay.
those questions for you. in detail.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board on an agenda item? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 7 on the agenda, special presentation on mental health in our mental health in our schools.
Great, so I'd like to invite up Robbie Graduleski and Mary Zimmerman. And thank you both for being here. So quite a while ago, I talked with Robbie, started with Robbie about the work that he's doing and working with mental health. And for those of you that don't know, Robbie is our middle school counselor and have been with us 2 years.
Yep.
Starting your third?
Yep, this will be my third year.
Awesome. So appreciate the work that you've done and the initiative that you've taken on the mental health. And I asked Robbie if he would be able to present to the board. And here he is tonight.
Perfect. Mary's actually going to start us off. Mary and I have kind of worked closely over the last couple of years on this, bringing a lot of different initiatives to our school and just bringing a lot of more support for mental health within our buildings, you know, elementary through high school.
And 2 years ago, we started a district-wide mental health group, and we had a really good response in all different buildings. And staff that actually attended were able to earn professional development points, which it served for 2 purposes. And then last year, Robbie took over heading up the group. And tonight, we're here to tell you some things that our district is doing currently in the area of mental health, and also what some of our future goals are. Our presentation is going to focus on student-staff relationships, improving academic performances, improving behavior, universal screening, universal strategies, integrating PBIS, and collaboration with outside agencies.
All right, so when we look at mental health, you know, mental health has a large impact on whether students see success or not in the schools. Mental health interferes with learning, social skills, increases barrier, you know, it has an increase and barriers. You see an increase in absentees, causes low energy in students. We also see an increase in behaviors that are occurring within the program if there's mental health concerns, which may lead to suspensions or expulsions. So as a district, we put a great emphasis on academics. That's awesome. Academics are very important, especially when it comes to 9th through 12th grade. However, we forget to focus on other areas that have a great impact on our academics, like healthy relationships and that mental health aspect of our students. So if you look at this slide, all three have a strong correlation with one another. So if you're building healthy relationships, you're seeing a positive benefit to your mental health in your schools. And then that's having a positive impact on your academics. So if, for instance, if you're seeing low academics, you're probably seeing low, positive relationships being built and that low mental health piece. So it's basically a big cycle. So relationships, when you look at positive relationships, when they're built within your school, between staff and students, dropouts reduce, work completion and achievement increases. You see social skills being built within your students, and that resiliency is occurring. And that's something that, is something that not necessarily is taught to students, that resiliency piece, but it's something that every person needs in order to be successful later on in life. So relationships continued again. Research also shows that students attend school more regularly and also are more motivated while at school. So they're there, and then they're also not just taking up space, they're motivated to, do what's expected of them and go above and beyond. And then when relationships are not built between staff and students, research states that achievement decreases and behavior problems increase. And then when healthy relationships are built, it causes the mental health problems to decrease in your students and within your schools.
Some basic facts. Mental health is a very complex relationship that it has with physical health and the ability to succeed in school and work in society. And if we want to have our students' career and college ready, those are all aspects that we have to consider. 1 in 5 students in the U.S. show signs of symptoms of mental health disorder. And for example, a class of 25 students, 5 of them may be struggling with the same issues. And only 1/3 of adolescents with mental health illnesses go on to post-secondary education.
So when we look at the community supports that are currently in place, I had an opportunity back, it would have been last winter. I met with a crisis counselor from North Central Healthcare, and she was able to get me on the crisis P&I group, which Mr. Barnes is part of through law enforcement. And it was actually a great connection for me because through that, when I joined, it was North Central, and Mr. Barnes, maybe you can chime in a little bit on this because I kind of came halfway in. I believe North Central Healthcare was trying to get some things in order on their side of things within the community. And when I came in, they reached their goal. So then they split up into some subgroups. And through one of those subgroups, a mental health consortium was created. When you look at the mental health consortium, what this is it's made up of 3 school districts. It's us, Everest, and the Wausau district. Okay? And then I believe there's 7 or 8 counseling agencies that are part of this. Within this, there was a goal created. So the goal is in the next 5 years, there'll be a mental health counselor in every school in Marathon County. So when you think about that, every school, that's your elementary school, that's your middle school, and that's a high school for every school district in Marathon County. And those, when you look at a mental health counselor, they're a lot different from a school counselor just because they're trained more in depth on how to handle mental health crisis compared to how I am. What was created through this mental health consortium was an MOU, or a Memorandum of Understanding. And what this is, it's a way for schools to vet counseling agencies. So the schools and the agencies would all sign together basically an agreement stating that as a school district, you won't allow any counseling agency that's not part of this consortium to practice within your building. And what that really does is protects the school districts because you have 7 or 8 counseling agencies that know a lot more about who's doing their work around Marathon County and would be able to approve this or not. It's basically just them looking out for the school districts and us having really a partnership with them. You know, as far as who's paying for this and how that's going to be taking place is they'll bill just like they would any other, you know, whether they're coming up to them or they're coming down to see us. That's basically just a counseling appointment. They'll bill that through the insurance companies, and that's how they would. It's not a way for them to really make any money. It's a way for them to basically break even and really support the local schools.
Part of the agreement is the school district has to make sure that we have a location and we have one contact person for them to contact. And one of the advantages, right now, we've had North Central Healthcare here for about 3 years in the district, but with the consortium, they add more training. They'll come in and they'll train parents, they'll train students, they'll also train staff. And so that's a big advantage that we don't have right now.
I think like the three-pronged approach or the three-tier, you know, you have your counseling, but then you also have your training aspect, which is, in my opinion, a huge component to whether we see success, you know, with battling mental health within schools or not, is getting the proper training for staff and the community. So that's a big piece of that.
And we just met about 2 weeks ago. Robbie and I went and met with the two ladies that head up the consortium to find out all the inner workings of the program, and it's really exciting.
How helpful is the North Central Healthcare right now?
How helpful are they?
How often do we see them?
We see them, at the middle school level, we see them about every other week, once a week. So what this would do is it would place a mental health counselor within our building every week versus every other week. And we still have the option to stick with North Central Healthcare through this because they're part of that consortium. They would just be coming more often. And we may have to go with a different agency at the elementary level because of just whether North Central Healthcare is available or if they have the proper training to handle that age group. That's unclear at this point. So Bridge Clinic, which is
Has a sliding fee scale.
yeah, that sliding fee scale, they have that option to bring in a counselor for that age group, for that age group.
And what the consortium did is they took all their agencies and the school districts and they mapped it out to be able to cover all the different districts so they know where everyone is. They're short a little bit, but they're actually right now, a lot of the agencies hiring more therapists to be able to help out in the schools.
What benefit do you see for our students that see support in the?
The benefit I see is it's giving them something that we can't offer them during the school day. And another thing with the counselor coming to our school, it eliminates barriers.
Yep.
If you look at a lot of the families and the students, there's that barrier of getting them up to see the counselor. And, you know, whether it's transportation costs or just not having the time, it just eliminates all that and it allows the student to receive the treatment that they need in order to, you know, just do better in school and better in the community.
I think two of the issues that we addressed early on in this were one, really the hurdles for a parent to take off work, to drive to the school from wherever they're at from work, get their child out of school, take them to a counseling appointment, wait for that, and drive them back. And so frequently, parents weren't doing that because it was too big a burden. And from an educational standpoint, the idea of taking your child to a 45-minute appointment, but you're pulling them out of school for 2 hours to accomplish that. In this case, they're out of the classroom for 45 minutes, and frequently you can schedule that around.
Exactly, around a study hall or free time.
The other thing too is that they'll have a packet that we're able to give the parents so that they get the information, and we do that quite frequently with some of our students that have high needs. And so a lot of times parents don't even know who to go to or who to contact, and so this way we always have the referral package and we can explain to them about the process.
Are they able to also help out with our staff as far as, you know, finding these kids that you might not recognize? I mean, and are they looking maybe at our bullying policy all the time, and are we up to date with that as it currently stands?
Well, right now, we have a lot of different screeners that help us find our target students. And so from there, we're able to kind of hone in on those kids and the families that need the help. But right now, we don't have them actually helping.
Yeah, a lot of our references that are being made to like North Central Healthcare at this time would be coming directly through the counseling office. And a lot of that, the referrals that we get are from staff members that see these students every single day. So I would say our staff do a very nice job of letting us know who may benefit. Once, you know, we have that meeting, we can definitely relay that information, send the student home with a packet of information. A lot of times though, and I'll be honest, is getting that packet back to school and signed is another thing. And that's where that three-pronged approach comes into is where we start to educate the community on how important mental health is and getting parents on board. I think if we can get parent buy-in, we'll see it, that, our mental health problems going, decreasing a lot.
You haven't seen any parents trying to like pull their kids out, maybe go to RVA, open enrolling because of issues they might be having?
You mean with mental health?
Right.
There's all different reasons why people choose to do RVA, so I haven't really seen a true pattern.
I don't necessarily see a true pattern. I mean, I've seen it. Within the 2 years here, I've seen a student pulled because of certain things that they might be with anxiety or those types of issues, yes. But I don't, Mrs. Evans said, it's, all kinds of different things why they're being pulled. But I have seen that as one of the reasons, yes.
And if I'm understanding correctly, you do need the parents' participation.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Oh,
you
yes.
need
You
a
couldn't
parent
take
permission.
like the elementary
No.
school and start counseling without the parents.
Yeah, you need the parent permission.
It's just as if they were going up to the clinic, so they fill out the same paperwork, we have to have the same consent, all that type of thing, their insurance. It's just that we're providing a different location for the services to occur.
There is a little bit of a hiccup as far as for 8th grade and up. Once they hit a certain age, you're allowed, and I wouldn't necessarily say this is a great idea, but that student can meet with a mental health counselor without parent permission one time.
On an
Only one
emergency
time,
type
yeah.
of crisis
Okay,
situation.
well, yeah, and sometimes it'd be nice for them to be, there is issues that come up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that's like with school psychs, if we're meeting with a student in a crisis situation one time without parent permission, then if it continues, then we need parent permission.
So when we look at mental health and the impacts that it really has on academics, there is a huge range of different impacts that it has. Slow problem solving will occur, difficulty controlling focus. I think if you talk to any teacher, definitely at the middle school, we see this every now and then, is that student that struggles to stay focused during the class. When they're not staying focused, they're not retaining any information. That decrease in test scores is a possibility. Work completion decreases, perseverance lacks, and then that difficulty recalling information. It also has a great impact on the future. Credit deficiency, so that can cause, high school dropouts, graduation rates to decrease as well. Leads to struggles in post-secondary schooling. Once they get out of high school, that they're struggling. If we don't address the mental health side of things before they get onto that secondary schooling, it's having a great impact on whether they're successful when they leave us or not. Struggling managing the demands of college and life in general. So when we talk about different things that we have started to do at the elementary level all the way through the high school, this year we administered 3 different surveys. The experience survey, which was more of a trauma survey, and there's a little bit of typo. That was administered to all students grades 6 through 12, not 6 through 8. So when you look at a trauma survey, what it does is, we did this in order to help our staff understand where our students are coming from. It looks at the different aspects of their life. So I developed this with Mrs. Goodman at the high school, and we looked at different trauma surveys, kind of took some questions that we wanted answers to at our different buildings, and just kind of threw them in there, and we wanted to survey our students. So again, that was administered in grades 6 through 12. We also do the YRBS. At the middle school level, 7th and 8th graders take that, and then at the high school level, 9th graders take that. And what it really focuses on is those risky behaviors that students are possibly participating in. Suicide, depression, traffic safety, weapons, personal safety, bullying, tobacco use, alcohol use, and et cetera. And then when we also did a relationship survey at the 4th grade through 8th grade. And what I would eventually like to use that for is a suicide prevention screener, because one of the red flags with suicide is if students are withdrawing and not making relationships with staff or other students. So if you look at that, what we did with that is we basically took staff names and we allowed students to take it, and we also created student listing for staff to take. And what it was is just matching up, our students making relationships with staff, our staff making relationships with students. Because that's a huge component to that mental health piece and our academics.
At the elementary school last year, Dr. Eric Hartwig, I don't know, some of you might know him in the area, he has partnered up with Security Health, and we were able to get a grant at the elementary school to do screening, which is a universal screener. And the teachers complete it, both fall and spring, and we did grades kindergarten, third, and 1-4K site, and that was based on a survey that we did with the staff as far as the people that wanted to do the pilot year. The teachers completed the survey, and then Dr. Eric Hartwig came in and he met with the teachers to interpret the data. He came back several different times to do universal strategy training, and we even had our assistants in that. We had 291 students that were screened, and we ended up having 7 targeted students that really needed intensive supports, and those are the kids that we would refer to counseling, or maybe they'd meet with the counselors or the school counselors or the school psychs more often. We had 22 that needed more supports, and then we had 212 students that had core behaviors, and they were just average and normal, so it showed how healthy our students were. This year, we also are eligible to do the BEST grant again, and Jeff Soderberg's been helping me with this, and we surveyed all the staff, and as soon as we get the survey back, we're hoping to do it building-wide this year, and go from there. We're gonna use our data to look at the PBIS program and intertwine that to help with behavioral supports for those children.
So why are we, assessing our students? Because first, in order to move forward, we must first assess. We must first look at where we need to improve. And I'll just touch lightly on this. Here, I'm just going to talk a little about that crisis P&I group again. Again, that was first created to address some concerns with North Central Healthcare. Once they kind of got their side of things taken care of, 4 subgroups came from that, and you have your school-based mental health, your expanding crisis model of care, the youth and continuum care, and then immediate crisis flow between services. So we're really addressing that community side of things and also the school side of things. Another thing that came out this year was a Changemakers grant, and that was awarded to Marathon County. And through that, what they did is they employed 2 more people with Marathon County that are really part of the school-based consortium and other groups that are going on in the community. So what we're currently doing to address mental health needs. So at the high school level, they have Mental Health Awareness Week. So each day revolves around a different topic. And I believe that takes place during the lunch hours, and also, I don't want to say TA, but what's the
pyramid?
Pyramid time, that type of stuff within the morning. And then they also, during that time each day, again, revolves around a different topic. Students are allowed to connect with one another. They have support groups are in place from pupil service staff, so school counselors have certain groups that are being ran. They have a SAD curriculum, which is a depression focus presented to the freshmen, and then a Skills for Success course, which really focuses on those students that maybe need that relationship and just kind of a little push to excel in school. At the middle school level, we currently have an active mental health group. So 2 years ago, we created a mental health group. Mrs. Zimmerman kind of started us out with that, and then last year, Katie Goodman and myself took that over. We kind of fell through a few cracks at the high school and at the elementary, but we continued it at the middle school level. The current focus that we have with our building is building relationships with staff and students, and just with staff and other staff as well. Having positive relationships built between staff and students. We also have a monthly newsletter that goes out to all middle school staff regarding topics around mental health, and also things that may be going on in the classroom, those types of things. I believe they're linked within there. You can look at it at a different time. We have a creation of, let's see here. We have a suicide prevention that's going to be taught to 7th and 8th grade students. That's something that's been taught the last 2 years. In that we talk about signs of suicide, we talk about self-harm, all different things that students are dealing with on a daily basis. Making students aware, because like I tell students, I'm not the one that walks the hallway every single day and knows every single thing that goes on. The students are the ones that know what's going on in the hallways, who's suffering, those types of things. So giving them the skills that they need in order to help each other out. We also have monthly lessons that are taught 4th and 5th grade, and then individual counseling that's going on.
At the elementary school, again, I mentioned how we're doing the universal screener the best. And then we have a lot of small group counseling with counselors and school psychologists, changing families, grief, social skills, friendship, individual weekly sessions with the school psychologist, interventions are developed for students, classroom guidance, parent conferences, teacher conferences, Big Brother, Big Sister program, and then the PBIS program, which is starting up.
So within all schools, there's other things going on as well. So within all schools, we have individual counseling that's provided by school counselors. You have the group counseling going on by school counselors. And then you also have that partnership with North Central Healthcare, providing that mental health counseling within the schools. We have speakers brought in on a yearly basis. We attend appropriate trainings, and then the mental health group, school mental health framework, which is through the DPI. And that corresponds with like PBIS, the pyramid, so it all goes hand in hand.
And then also besides the counselors, the school psychologists also help out with that counseling.
So when we look at future plans and goals, what I like to kind of look at as far as us at a middle school level and even us at a school district is like that 5-year window. Where are we going to be at within 5 years and what's our goal? So if we look at it through the school-based or the mental health consortium, all schools will have a mental health counselor located in their building once a week. So they'll have that office or that room where they come once a week. Staff know who that person are, and students really start to develop relationships with that person as well. So it's not just a stranger coming into our building, somebody they see on a weekly basis. Suicide prevention training, this is something that we will be doing at the middle school level this year with staff, going over different, the warning signs, what to look for in students, those types of things with staff. We'll present it at every 3 years. We're thinking at this current time, new people coming within the middle school will go over this. It'll just be a PowerPoint, they'll look it over before starting. Trainings will be presented by mental health counselors to all staff, parents and students. And then one big thing that we're looking to start second semester this year is a staff student mentor program. And we'll be taking the results from that relationship survey and trying to partner up staff with students that have similar interests. And starting to form those relationships, those positive relationships with those students that need it. And I think we greatly see a positive impact on our academics with some of those students that are causing problems and not necessarily doing so hot academically, because they just don't have those relationships built with staff. And then also we'll have that suicide prevention screener, which is that relationship survey. That's something that I hope to really actually use as a relationship, not a relationship survey, but a suicide prevention screener later on to try to red flag some students before we have something tragic happen. We'll have a student-based mental health school club. That's something that the high school is going to form this year. And I would also like to piggyback some type of middle school program off of that. Mrs. Goodman is going to meet, I believe, the 28th with some students, and I'm going to also sit in on that and see what we can do from the middle school side of things. Student presentations on mental health topics, presenting to students, things, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's ADHD, just certain things that they're going through on a daily basis within school. Universal screenings conducted annually for all students, and collaborating with the Mental Health Consortium, and then just implementing that school mental health framework.
Some of your student presentations at the high school, I know, Scott, you captured some of those and shared those out on social media. A lot of positive feedback on that.
Very, very positive feedback, and just another different outlet for the kids to, just cope, or just different strategies to help them when they're struggling.
Those are pretty powerful.
They were, yeah, there's a lot of kids that you wouldn't expect to be in there, so.
And they did great presentations, so some of our kids really led those, and that was pretty awesome, and allowed them to go through some of their issues and struggles, and to just share that with their peers and their classmates.
When we look at the resources, these are just a lot of different articles that I looked up in order to find information on how healthy relationships impact mental health and how both of those impact academics within our school.
Any questions?
I had a lot of them, but you answered them.
So that's good.
This is kind of on the tail of what DPI is kind of insisting on.
It is, and the consortium is based on the DPI pyramid model, which is what we're all following, Pam's pulling it up right now. It's very similar to like PBIS or RTI, where you have the different levels and different supports depending on the intensity and severity of their mental health. One of the things too I was gonna mention, for our 4K students, we also have a model, it's called the pyramid model, and they start back as age 4, learning these different strategies and supports before they even get into the elementary school, so there's already a program for them too.
So once a week, to have a counselor or a therapist in each building, so 3 days a week, really. If you had, money is no object, and you had perfect scenario, how many days a week would you have a mental health therapist?
It would be nice to have somebody in the district full-time.
Yep, I would agree.
So, to flesh it out a little bit more, would a full-time person in the district, 40 hours a week, meet the needs of all 3 schools to, like, hey, here we go, they're busy and there's no kids left hanging?
I would feel it would.
I would think it would hit it on a lot of different aspects within training. I think they could provide training that I myself or other counselors, school counselors couldn't provide. I think they could provide that training for community as well. I think, they could provide that one-on-one counseling, so I think that's a 3-tier approach. I think they would hit it, and I think it would drastically improve our, academics and just our relationships and that positiveness that goes with our district.
I think
When
that's.
you think of the amount of kids he services, how many kids do?
I would say, I think last year was
738.
over 700, just myself, so.
So we have one counselor for 738.
Well, and so, I don't know, maybe I'm talking apples and oranges. So, mental health therapists to provide therapy sessions to kids as opposed to school counselor, because they serve two,
Very different.
tell me if I'm nuts or wrong here, but they serve
No,
two.
They do, but Robbie ends up doing a lot
Yeah,
of
sure.
mental health counseling
Right.
because we don't have the
So if you look
resources
at
for it.
a lot of my days, there's days where I cancel lessons because I have a crisis situation where I'm waiting on crisis to come down or something like that, and that takes 8 hours. Sometimes, even longer depending on how busy the crisis center is and when they get us a counselor. So a lot of those situations in middle school, I'm dealing with them versus where a mental health counselor could be doing that, where I could be, teaching lessons and doing things like that.
The other thing that will help now is we have a full-time school psychologist that we didn't have last year, and so 3 days a week, there's gonna be a school psychologist at the middle school, so that will help too, where last year we only had one in myself, so.
In the dream world, 5 days would be awesome, but even like 3 days, 2 days, 1 day is nice, but it's not gonna meet the needs.
But it's a start, and
Yep.
it's a 5-year plan, the consortium, and there's such a shortage of mental health workers that they're doing what they can to try to spread everybody out to have somebody in every school.
Thank you.
Now, how does this lighten up our staff, our teaching staff, with a mental health person there? Will our teaching staff have more time now to focus on education?
I believe so. I think it would, if you focus on forming healthy, positive relationships between staff and students, it's gonna take care of that mental health side of things, and it's gonna take a lot of those problems that are occurring within the classroom and eliminating those where staff can, teach what they need to teach versus being interrupted or having to deal with behavior issues or those types of things. So I think a lot more time could be placed, into the academic side of things, yes.
And the other thing we talked about is some of our really special needs kids that have a lot of mental health issues, that they would be able to come to IEP meetings and they would be able to support the families more by actually being in the building.
And then just with staff receiving that training from mental health counselors on how to maybe handle certain students with certain disabilities and, certain mental health, illnesses, to me, that's also gonna free up some time and put it back into the academic side of things.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you both very much.
Thank you very
informative.
much. Oh, thanks, Steve.
Okay, we are
Appreciate it.
item number 8, old business, a discussion which will be an update for us on our energy efficiency projects.
I just wanted to share an update, more so with the public on what I shared with the board in the connection. So following our meeting on the 1st, our contract with Nexus was finalized, and then the following notice was posted in the Daily Herald and the Mosinee Times. We have now entered into that petition period, which is open for 30 days. By our September 5th Board of Education meeting, that will end, and if no petition has been presented, the board will have the opportunity to move forward with those projects. And just a reminder, if any citizen has questions about those energy efficiency projects, we're happy to meet individually with them to discuss those projects. We have shared in the public the scope of the energy efficiency projects, and that's the Nexus presentation that we had, so we've shared that out. We had Amy put that out on the website, the cost of the energy efficiency projects as well. So just sharing that out as far as the energy efficiency projects. And just to update the board on the science projects. So we continue to work on identifying solutions for that facility issue as well. We held another meeting with Steve Jamros, who the board is working with, to identify what those options are. Those options are outlined in the science options. And that team continues to meet to just discuss what those options are. And we are collecting bids from different contractors that Steve has contacted. And we hope by our September board meeting that we'll bring to you what those costs are for those options. For the board's understanding, we do have feedback that we've been gathering on each one of the options. Basically, we just write in there some of the conversations that we've had. Here's our concerns and thoughts that we've been capturing during those meetings. So that's just kind of an update on all of the energy efficiency projects, and then also the facility project that we're working on about the science classrooms.
Do we have anything going besides, what we have posted in Times already, that we can put, like say Nexus would have a press release that we can put into the Times to alert the public that don't go on the website to look at what we might have out there already?
To share that.
Just some general information.
Sure, I think that presentation was great. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think this presentation, it shares every single, this is exactly what we're gonna do. There's a picture of what we're gonna do. There's a picture of what we're gonna do.
So you don't think there's any way we can kind of condense something and put something in there for the people that don't go on? Somebody
Sure.
like who doesn't have kids in the district is not gonna go on the website.
I think we have a lot of users that go. I'm happy to put anything out there. I think that presentation was, I'm sorry, let me go back to that update on energy. And let me ask you your thoughts on this. So that's the notice.
Right.
And then we have the presentation out there.
Yep.
We also have the cost out on our Mosinee School District website. We also have this cost.
Right.
That's the cost of all the things. We've also had this posted, this is a condensed version of what that presentation is. So this is just a line item. So here's the 5 items at the elementary school, the 7 items at the middle school, the 5 items at the high school. That's this is what's in that PowerPoint, are those things. That's kind of a condensed version, that's what we're doing. What other information?
Well, I'm wondering if there's something, what you did, maybe direct people to the website. Something to get out that way, not something, just put a statement out there for them. Because I've had enough people coming in, like, filling out forms that don't have a computer, or don't know how to use a computer very well. Just to give them access to get to that point.
I think what she's saying, Ann, is more or less like older, like my parents and that, as far as they would not go on a computer. If there's a condensed version, somehow we could get out to the public.
Well, I'm just wondering if Nexus would have an idea. They've dealt with other
Yes.
communities.
Yeah,
Have
so
they put anything out
Here's
there?
what they talked, well, that's why they did the presentation
Right,
for us.
right.
'Cause
No,
they
for
thought
us
that was
here,
good.
but I'm just saying locally to put out in the Mosinee Times, for example.
Sure. They could, and then they also agreed that after September 5th, that we would do an article on every
Okay.
single project.
Okay.
So they said, as soon as you go through this period in September 5th, you pass that.
Okay.
Then what they would do is Hans, who is here with us, he said, as soon as we start it, what I'd like to do is just a short video. We'll show you the 1975, we'll tell you what we're gonna do, you can
Okay.
post it that week. And what we could do is just chop up those 15 things and take that over a period of several months and do an article on that.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am. Item number 9, new business. I'll call it 9A-1, and I would ask, Kevin, do you want to make a motion of those minutes in open session here?
Make a motion for the correction to add a line item that reflects our closed motion meeting minute. Note where, now you're gonna make me dig here again, huh? That we bring to the board here, motion by Teal, second by Ellis, to ask Sue Peterson for the school perception to submit a press release of high-level survey results for 2016-2017 to the public after the data retreat. Voted 8 yes, 0 no, motion carried. To correct the record as stated.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor by Thiel, seconded by Tomczyk. Any further discussion?
Did you catch on?
What was the date? You can copy and paste.
Yeah, I can
July
copy it off the minutes.
July 18th, good question.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 9A, discussion and possible decision, endorsement of parent and community support organizations and the Mosinee Community Athletic Association.
I was so moved.
I'll second.
That's all of them.
Yes.
We have a
Did you
motion
get
on,
them?
Yes, we did.
we have a motion on the floor by Kaiser, seconded by Gorman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9B, discussion and possible decision, student cell phone usage policy 5136.
That was mine. I
That
mean,
was.
just looking at our policy, the way it stands, I mean, I just like to take out B and C. I just don't see the use of cell phones in the classroom. I mean, I've read some articles online, I've talked to, parents myself. I mean, I just think it's another distraction for kids in the classroom to not pay attention. I think the staff needs to get the respect from the kids, and we've got Chromebooks. That was the intention of putting Chromebooks in there. I would like to see this updated and even in the student handbook to the effect that go back to what we had previously when we did not allow cell phones in the classroom.
Do we have any problems that we know of? Has any teacher complained? Do we have any students complained? Has any parent registered any complaints to the district concerning this policy? Have any teachers approached you to change the policy?
No. Because the classroom teacher has the authority, so Scott, if you can, so if a teacher tells you, Ann Schultz says you cannot have phones in your classroom, and maybe Mr. Barnes says you can, and I say, Mr. Grimminger, could you please help me enforce this?
Right, so at the high school, it's the teachers have that discretion, and if it is a problem in the classroom, it generally gets referred to me, and at that point I remove it from the student's possession for the day, or call home and they come get it, so that's kind of how we operate right now.
Well, I'm just gonna put out there, I'm gonna make the motion that we change our policy to remove cell phones from the classroom.
We still in discussion, can I ask?
Yeah.
Sure.
No,
You
we're
should-
not in
No,
discussion
we
yet.
would have to have a second to
Then we can-
discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Gorman, seconded by Thiel. Now we're in discussion. All right, go ahead.
So, if we were to abide and quite honestly omit those two sections, now would the distraction turn? How would the distraction turn in effect, quite honestly, things in the organization?
If you remove B and C,
Yeah, if we quite honestly banned it, now it would turn into an enforcement situation.
Essentially, we ban cell phones
Now
at
you're
the
gonna
high
have
school.
lots of issues.
yeah, it would be
You're gonna
a
have
much
lots of
greater
issues.
issue.
And I will say that's how, from me being a high school principal, that's why, you know, it just becomes an enforcement nightmare. It really does. That's why it's up to the individual teacher discretion. So especially with the calculators and things that some use, it's up to the teacher. And if the teacher does not want the cell phones in their classroom, they do not have to have them in their
Right.
classroom. It's
And
up to the
we-
teacher.
At the middle school too, we do have staff that utilize their cell
Right.
phones for kids for different projects and different things that they do. And so removing that basically says that they have to follow that policy of no cell
Right.
phones in the
Yeah, but
classroom.
what are they doing on a cell phone that they can't do on a Chromebook?
They do certain activities. They do these scavenger hunt type things where they go around and they take pictures of things around different areas, and they use their cell phones in a different capacity than they do
So I'd
Chromebooks.
say the two significant differences that I hear from teachers are camera quality. It is different, you know, I mean the camera quality of this, our Chromebook cameras are not as good as your cell phone camera is. That's I would say a fact. The second thing we do have, so I'll use the example of like that middle school coding class we started 2 years ago. The robots, the 4-foot robots the kids build in there, they literally run off a cell phone. That's the heart of the robot. So I'm not saying it's in every class,
Right.
every day they're using it, but I mean off the top of my head I can tell you those are two things that I know in high school science, I've worked with a couple high school science teachers, when they're taping chemical reactions, the camera quality is just better on what kids have on their cell phones. So those would have to be adjustments. If those things are omitted, those things would have to be adjusted by our teachers.
So what do the kids with mean parents do?
That don't have cell phones, are you saying? Honestly, a lot of times it boils down to you're in a group of 3, you need one. You're in a group of 5 kids to do this. One of you has a phone, and it's really a non-issue
I
from
think
that
it's really a
standpoint.
teachable moment for that teacher.
Right.
It allows, you know, us to help parents teach kids how to use things appropriately and responsibly. Taking that tool out of their hands is like dictating to them how we should be teaching.
Well, and there's other studies out there that a lot of school districts that don't have cell phones in their classroom actually tested higher than that do. And our new director of curriculum and instruction, you came from a different district, I mean, what did you see or have you heard other?
I would say in the Wausau School District, they were allowed to use devices at a pretty significant level. Their operating system, you know, with both, you know, the Apple devices as well as the Chromebooks, you know, similar to what we have here, allowed for a lot of application with the use of cell phones when students, you know, had some structured performance tasks and things around that. It allowed for a lot of feedback, interaction between the teacher and the student. You know, and as we build our technology plan and technology skills with students, you know, there's a lot of learning capacity that can happen with them, and I think they were utilizing them in Wausau, you know, for exactly that purpose. As a learning tool to enhance interaction with the teacher, to engagement in the classroom, and of course